Hi, I'm Leah Saris from Culinary Medicine Consulting. Cooking doesn't have to be complicated, and I'm here to help you gain kitchen confidence one step at a time. It's summer right now, and today I'm going to show you how to use up all those excess herbs and greens that you may have accumulated from your garden or from the grocery store and make a really simple, delicious, nutritious green sauce that's going to elevate any dish. Once you understand the basic components and the basic ratios, you can get really creative, and the sky's the limit as far as the types of green sauces that you can make. So to start, of course, we're going to have our greens. A lot of the times that's a tender herb like parsley, cilantro, basil, dill can be another one, or you can use things like salad greens, arugula, watercress, spinach. If anything's starting to go a little wilty in the fridge and you're not sure if it's going to make it, it's a great option to go in here. Even some of those greens that you may not have considered and you might often throw away, carrot tops, beet greens, turnip greens, all great options that can go into this green sauce. Green sauces are widely enjoyed around the world. Many of us are already familiar with pesto from Italy, but there's others such as chimichurri from Argentina and chutney from India that are good examples of green sauce. But you don't have to prescribe to any single recipe because, like I said, once you get the formula down, you can make your own combinations. After my greens, I'm going to add flavor enhancers. Today I'm going to add some jalapeno. You can also do some dried pepper flakes, some fresh garlic. I'm going to add some capers. I find that briny products like capers or olives really add some nice saltiness and umami to the dish, but by any means you don't have to add that. And then a little acid. Today I'm going to use red wine vinegar. You can use citrus, you can use any type of vinegar you want to add some brightness to this dish. And then I'm going to use extra virgin olive oil. You need some kind of fat in here. It could be any type of oil. It could be a more neutral oil, like a canola oil. I find this is a great time to use the extra virgin though because it allows it to shine. You can also use, if you want something a little creamy, something like yogurt, sour cream, mayonnaise. You can do really any combination. You could do half and half as well of different types of fats. One thing I also really like to add to these often is avocado. And that acid is not only going to help with the flavor, but it's going to help that avocado not brown as quickly. Once you got your greens and your flavor enhancers and your fat and your acid, you can do any combination of those, but the basic ratio that you want to know is you want to do about 4 times the amount of greens to 1 time the amount of fat. So here I have a half a cup of olive oil and I'm going to shoot for about 2 cups of greens. Now if it's too thick or too thin, you can always adjust it by adding some more oil or even water to thin it out, or you can bulk it up with more veggies. So I'm going to use my mini food processor today. You can also do this in a blender, you can use a mortar and pestle, or you can do it by hand if you don't have any of the above. It's just going to be a little more rustic, which I like. So I'm going to pour my liquids in the bottom of the food processor. That's going to give the food processor something to grab onto as it starts to chop and puree. Then I'm going to add my red wine vinegar, my capers, my pepper. I'm going to cut these in a little smaller piece. Keep in mind, if you don't want it quite as spicy, you can always take out the pith and the seeds. So I'm just going to quarter these, throw the tops away. And then my garlic, I'm just going to give a rough chop too, just to give it a head start. And then for your greens, you can just put them in whole. For my smaller food processor, I might run my knife through it quickly. This is also going to help you if you aren't using a food processor to show you how to do this by hand. So to chop my greens, I'm going to put them in a nice compact pile in the middle of my cutting board. Hold my knife with my opposite hand resting on the back of the blade And I'm going to use the tip of the blade as a pivot point going back and forth to chop my greens. This is the same way I would chop garlic or other types of herbs as well. Anything I want to mince, good way to do it. I don't need to chop these anymore because they're going in my food processor, but if you're doing this by hand, you're just going to continue doing that motion until you get the texture that you want. Throw that in my food processor. And then, of course, I'm going to add some salt. Salt is not the enemy. It is a flavor enhancer. Most of the salt, the excess salt that we get in our diet, is going to be from processed foods and eating out, not necessarily from cooking at home. So, a nice little pinch of salt in our sauce. Once we add our greens and ingredients to our food processor, we can chop it. Here we have this beautiful, bright green, vibrant sauce that we can add to a variety of dishes. Of course, before I finalize it, I just want to taste it. Oh, that is excellent. I really like to put this on anything from proteins like chicken or fish or even steak to something like grilled vegetables or roasted vegetables. You can put it on eggs, you can put it on a sandwich, you can put it in your salads. It's really, really versatile. And you might have even noticed that a lot of the ingredients mirrored the vinaigrette that I made in another video. The acid, the oil, the flavor enhancers. You might start to notice a pattern where you're starting to understand flavor development and the types of components that we're looking for in a delicious dish. What I love about this is, A, it's delicious, but it's also packed with nutrients. It has lots of vitamins like vitamins A, K, it has folate, has a ton of antioxidants and anti-inflammatories. So not only is this good, but it's good for you. And of course, I love that it reduces waste in the kitchen. So anything that might otherwise go bad, or if you have excess herbs in the garden, or those tops of your carrots that you may not have used, this is a great way to use them up. You can also freeze these. Put them in an ice cube tray or a small container so you can have it on hand at any time to elevate a dish. Now that you've learned the basic components of a green sauce, you can get creative and make your own at home. There are endless possibilities. If you try this, please shoot me a message or make a comment so I can see what you've made. Thanks so much for joining me, and happy cooking.